And now for today's stories. Now, the leadership of Parliament is planning to install clock-in devices to check lateness by members. Speaker of Parliament Mike Okoye, who revealed this, says the move should hopefully get MPs to be more punctual to sittings. A study by civil society organizations, particularly Odikro members, reported that members work late every day, a situation, it says, which adversely affects parliamentary work. The Speaker, who was addressing some selected journalists in Accra, said perennial latecomers will be named and shamed.
Punctuality is not good, and we've said it ourselves on the floor of the House. As at today, we are working at these things. It's both members and staff. Members have all agreed that they're going to turn over a new leaf. And those of you who have been coming here will see that there has been quite a change. Very soon, and we've placed orders for this, there will be the clocking machines. They will clock in. And they will also clock out. So there will be a record. And this is being done in other parliaments. And I've told honorable members already. I've shared it with them. In fact, the other day, I was very glad about some of the comments that members themselves made, that they must work in a way that will satisfy the good people of Ghana, who are their employers. So definitely there are these difficulties. Otherwise, we'll not be talking about ordering the machines.
Beyond installing these machines, Mr. Speaker, are you going to name and shame MPs who are virtually, late?
Definitely. This, it will be available to members of the media. So when you come, and in fact, I'm seeking your cooperation, and these are the things that make things work in other countries. And when you make comments, like I know a number of researches have been done in the past, some of which I had even referred to in some papers I had written several years ago, you want to now support them scientifically with what the Parliament computer is saying. And they will soon be installed. So that you can now tell that this is the attendance record of this particular member of Parliament.
Meanwhile, the Speaker has added his voice to assurances by leadership of the House that the Right to Information Bill will be passed before close of the year. Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu has indicated the bill will be considered on November 15, but the House is divided on the possibility of passing it. This 18-year-old bill, they believe, may not be passed by December 2018. Mr. Okoye says necessary measures have been put in place to ensure passage before close of the year.
The Right for Information Act, for example, bill, for example, will soon be passed into an act from this place. And I believe that it will be a matter of just a couple of weeks.
Would we see it's passed by the end of the session?
But by the end of this year? No. Oh, you mean the right to information? Oh, definitely. I can assure you that we shall have a right to information act by.
Mr. Speaker, talking about definitely, in the last week we've had 2 instances where Parliament lacked quorum. So, I mean, how do we know that Parliament is serious, and how can we justify that when members have not been present for the consideration of the bill?
No, I can assure you it will be done.
But there's budget coming, and there'll be a lot of deliberations.
The budget will come, we'll deal with the budget, and at the same time, RTI will be a thing of the past.
So we should take your words that it's going to be passed by the end of this year?
By the end of this year. RTI should be a thing of the past. When we come in January, I think rather we must be concentrating on women.
Well, let's move on. The Akosombo Textiles Limited is expressing higher expectations for next year as we have the 2019 budget to be presented by the Finance Minister tomorrow, Thursday, November 15, 2018. The textiles industry has over the years recorded consistent decline in its contribution to Ghana's GDP. For instance, from 10.2% in 2006 to only contributing some 4.5% in 2017. The ATL is one of the companies tagged to have a scheduled layoff for next year, 2019. Though the company's marketing manager has denied that claim, he's calling for a reduction in taxes in the 2019 budget in a bid to cushion local textile producers. He was speaking on PM Express.
Other things that we are expecting within the industry is that either the VAT is reduced or it's waived for textile prints.
Okay.
For a period.
Textile print. What is that?
For textiles.
Textile.
Locally manufactured textiles.
How much is it now? How much is the VAT?
The VAT is the normal 12.5 plus. Yeah. So if that is waived temporarily for maybe a year or two, to give the local companies a bit of competitive advantage to what is coming from China, so that our selling price can come a little bit down. Mm-hmm. Another option will be to, if the expectation will be if the corporate taxes is reduced. That
for you, for the industry.
For the industry, for the industry. And another thing that we could expect from the budget is if, for instance, going forward, energy cost is looked at. So once we have the energy costs coming down, or some concessions for importing of raw materials from into the country.
Meanwhile, Chairman for the Trades and Industry Committee in Parliament is assuring local manufacturers of some stimulus packages in the upcoming budget, but wants the local industries to make good use of the trade policies available.
There's a third budget that this our government is going to present to the whole nation, and then if we look at coming from last year's budget, we saw the stimulus package and then certain economic policies in the direction of how to promote our industries. And then here I want to say that all the captains of industry must be expecting something in there.
But for you, what's your own expectation on the Trades and Industry Committee?
Yes, we expect that there should be, there will still be some stimulus packages, and then this 1D, 1F issues, I think we're going to propagate it more, because this is a time that we're going to see a lot of infrastructure things happening in the budget, and then also industry is going to have a good push within the budget. So I would say let us expect more, but then it will depend upon how we also utilize the policies within all these sort of areas in terms of the industry that we're looking up to.
Let's go elsewhere for a moment. Now, the Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, has warned that the conflict between two farmers that led to the killing of one person and others injured at Yendi will be treated as a criminal matter. He said the police has begun investigations into the matter, and at a meeting with the two tribes, the minister cautioned that this should be the last community violence in the area.
Somebody will shoot you, somebody will shoot your dog, your pig, your animal, or even you yourself. Hand that person to the police and let the police deal with the person. If the police take 2 years to come, have faith that the security agencies will come and arrest that person and deal with that person. The president has said that he has asked the military high command, which is through my office, the Minister of Defense, to release 4 brand new pickups to the Northern Command so that they will use to ensure that there's security in this area. Those cars should be coming this evening. The president has also said that he would ensure that the rule of law prevails here. So anybody who has committed a crime, let the law take its course. Let the police do their work. Let the soldiers do their work. Don't take the law into your hands. Thirdly, the president is very concerned about the general security of the area and wants us to assure you that the area is safe. So those who have left their houses and gone to Yendi or gone to Saboba or gone to Bimbla, everybody should come home.
Mr. Nitiwul has also said that there's a need for development and it cannot happen in the midst of conflict. He cited Bimbilla, which he says has forced contractors working on the roads to abandon the project because of the conflict.
We also plead with you not to continue to embarrass us any longer. We don't want anybody to think that half or notness, every time they are fighting. It doesn't help us. Do you understand that? It doesn't help us. That's why the president has asked that we should come, find out what is happening, and appeal to you that everybody should cease and let the law enforcement agencies do their work. Then they can resolve matters. Then we can live peacefully. We can let our children go to school. Because if you are fighting, you can't enjoy the free education the president is bringing. It's not true. You cannot enjoy the planting for food that the president is bringing. You cannot enjoy the road that they are doing. You cannot enjoy the chief's compound. You cannot enjoy clinic. You cannot enjoy anything. Remember that today, towns are competing.
Well, in other news, the Director General of Deutsche Welle, Peter Limburg, is assuring community radio stations of continuous support from DW. Speaking at a forum with members of the Ghana Community Radio Network at Adam in the Greater Accra region, the Director General stated the community-based stations are important in deepening democracy in Ghana. Peter Limburg is in Ghana with other managers of the global media giant to engage players in the industry on how to build the voice of the youth in development.
We work with our people together.
Members of the Ghana Community Radio Network singing their anthem. Coordinator of the group, Wona Kwame, wants the transmission radius of community radio stations to be increased.
And we also live in hope that they will recognize that if community radio is there to give voice to those who have the least voiced are not in the cities. They are in the remote villages, in the remote communities, and there is no way they can be reached within a 5-kilometer radius.
Director General of DW, Peter Limburg, assured the members his outfit's support for community radio stations will continue. He's hopeful their transmission radius will be increased to enable them reach a larger audience.
I can assure you that the support of Deutsche Welle for community radios is long-lasting and will continue, because we're so convinced that your work you're doing here, all together with you people who are actually reporting and contributing from the community, is vital for not only your community but for democracy, for the preserve of cultural heritage. Regulations shouldn't hinder your work, and well, 5 kilometers is not very much, so I can really understand the wish, and hopefully they will never control the 5 kilometers, but put on the volume and get more, make it 10, make it 15, make yourself heard.
DW Head of Programs for Africa, Klaus Tucker, says community radio stations are important for the coverage of rural areas.
I think they have a very special role to play, the community radios, because they are there where the people are. And for every national media, entity, it's very difficult to cover the rural areas. So it's very local, and you need a platform for them. So I think it goes really good hand in hand with national, networks. We will definitely go more into Africa, as it is one of our prioritized regions, and Ghana is one of our most interesting countries, one of our specialized countries. The Deutsche Welle here, DW is present here, and we entertain very good relationships with companies like Joy. The multimedia group is one of our longest standing partners, and it's a very fruitful relationship.
The Director General and his team are scheduled to meet stakeholders in the media industry and participate in the JoyNews DW Forum, dubbed the 77%.
Did you know 77% of the population in Africa is under 35 years? That is why we need to have a conversation about the role of the youth in governance, business, planning, and developing social thinkers. JoyNews, in partnership with Deutsche Welle and Joy Prime, brings you the 77 Speaks to 23. Conversations and reflections. Join us on Tuesday, November 13 at 5 p.m. at the foyer of the Crown International Conference Center to set the tone for the future.
And we know that you'll join us. We'll have some great conversations. That partnership with DW is one of the best to make sure that we improve on what we do.
And later tonight at the Accra International Conference Center, I'll be moderating a conversation on this 77 speaking to the 23% of African society. It's amazing to think that 77% of Africans are under 35, yet our decisions are being made for us mainly by the 23% that are above 35. Yeah, we need a dialogue, a conversation to move things forward. So please stay tuned for that. It's tonight, and I'll be moderating.
Well, let's look at other stories. We'll be looking at the review, and we'll look at the papers. We'll look at myjoyonline.com. When we're done with that, we'll have coming in the sports team led by Benedict Osu with the latest sports headlines. Still with us. It is still the AM show right here on the channel.